Welcome to the Rest of Us podcast. Today, it's just me and Lucas. And next week, though, we should have our first on-location guest we have planned for Friday. We swapped it around. So this one's like another solo one. And boy, have we had a whirlwind of the last 3 weeks. Because having been injured, the social activities I have gotten myself into since I can't train anymore has been incredible. On Friday, we went outside the perimeter. And this is a real thing. This isn't even a joke. We went to a gift shop, arcade, brewery, axe throwing, bar, gun store to go to the back, which was an event that was called micro wrestling. It was actually wrestling. Do they call themselves midgets or little
people? Yes, they're called midgets.
They call themselves midgets. And we watched.
I think the whole new term for it was only made up by like
TLC, the TV show.
Yeah, like the same people who make up, hey, can't say retarded. Like the same people who say that are the same ones.
I just remember also growing up, they were like, they're African American, not black. And then now everyone who says African American, they're like, they're not actually from Africa. And it's like, that's what everybody was saying before.
So when someone tries to correct you, just be like, no,
whatever.
We're good, dude. That's fine.
I think what the pandemic has taught us is that there are certain people who just like to tell other people things.
Yeah, that's true. That's one thing I took back from it was there's so many people who are out there just going, hey, you need to do what we're telling you to because it's right. And you're like,
yeah,
not because it's actually not right.
If I believe it's genuine and there's like hurt feelings or like other stuff, I will take that into consideration. Yeah. But sometimes I'm like, I think you just like to tell people what to do. Yeah. Anyway, so what were we going to talk about today? Oh, we also went to
micro wrestling.
The micro wrestling. That was wild.
That was great.
That was so great.
That was a lot of fun. They were really good, too.
It was so good. It was so fun. It was so far. It's crazy because it's an hour outside the perimeter. But I felt like we were driving and we're like, we've only gone 7 more minutes.
Well, it's also because you live in the middle of Atlanta, so you drive more than 20 minutes, and you're like, ugh.
This is so far. Which, speaking of, yesterday I made the trek to Tennessee and back.
Oh, you did
by myself. And
I was a little tired from all the events that we've been doing.
Yeah, Lucas was tired. He also went to the hospital for chest pain the day before. So he's like, I'm not driving. And I was like, fine, I guess. But my parents are in town up in Tennessee. And then my cousin, who lives an hour from her parents, drove over. And then we all had dinner together, like lit a fire. I drove through the middle of America legitimately. I left the freeway around 2 hours of this like 3.5 hour drive in total. And
it was total? I thought it was like 3 hours up there and 3 hours back.
It was. I'm saying like in one way.
Oh, okay.
But the last hour and a half of it to where they live, there were stoplights. Like it wasn't like a freeway. And I was like,
oh, so that's why he's like, technically you could have been there in 20 minutes, but
yeah, it's not off of it's not off of an interstate. So like no matter which way I would have gone, I would have had to go through these like towns and stuff, which wasn't a big deal going there. And then on the way back, everyone's trying to get me to spend the night. They're like, you already drove 3.5 hours. Like, don't drive back. And I was like, I did it before. And then even my cousin's like, I have a dog and I want to like sleep in my own bed. And she only lives an hour away. And I was like, it's okay. It's 3.5 hours. If I leave now, I'll still be home by like midnight-ish. Also, there's a time change. And this is weird. They're 15 minutes from where the time change line is.
Yeah.
So my aunt was saying, because they had just moved there, they're lifelong Californians and they like just moved to this part of Tennessee like a little over a year ago. And she's like, it's so weird trying to meet people up for anything because you have to figure out what time zone you're meeting in because they're an hour behind our time zone.
Yeah.
So she's like 15 minutes towards, so like my cousin lives like an hour away east and she's in a different time zone than them. And so they're like, okay, we're meeting at 4, but then is it 4 or is it 5? Because it depends on where you're at. And she's like, because we're only 15 minutes from it, my friend who lives 15 minutes down the road is also in a different time zone than me. Right. And she's like, what's crazy is my sister lives in Houston, which is 10 hours away, and they're in the same time zone as her. So they're like right at the edge of the time zone.
Yeah.
And she was like, and what's worse is our main airport is Knoxville. So
when you plan the trips to get there.
Yeah, you have to plan for the time zone. And then you're leaving like an hour and a half before, and then you want to get to the airport early. And she's like, I have no idea what time to leave for the airport. Like I've learned that. So I was like, oh man, that is challenging. And I thought that Google automatically adjusts your trip when you go places. It did not.
No, it changes when you cross the line. It just gives you the
Yeah.
it adds the hours together of like your actual total travel time.
I thought it was
'Cause
going to
when
give you
we
the
were
time
coming
when you land.
down-
But that's what airplanes do. Airplanes tell you when you're getting there
Yes, it'll tell you like you'll be there at 6 a.m.
Yeah, and it's 6 a.m. when you land and not
Yes,
6 a.m. where you
right.
left. Yeah.
Right.
So I did that.
Which is weird because then you look at your flight and you're like, I thought this was a 5-hour flight. And then you look at it and it's like a 2-hour flight.
Yeah. And
And you're like, 5 hours. And you're like, take off at 10, be there at midnight. And you're like, how does
I guess
that
there's
work?
like no real good way to do it. It's going to be confusing all of the ways.
Yeah.
So I did that. And then we went to New Orleans. We had really good char-grilled
Gosh, man.
or
Goodness
char-grilled.
gracious me, oh my.
It was
so
good. Even now, as I'm talking about it, I'm like, can we just drive to New Orleans and just go get a boatload of oysters?
And the grits.
And the grits are really good.
And the grits.
Yeah, the shrimp and grits.
I don't want to bring a car,
grits.
though, next time.
Yeah, our car got broken into. Actually, both our cars have been broken into.
Within a week.
Well, they were broken into within like 72 hours.
Yeah.
Lucas's back window was smashed, and then he saran wrapped it because he has like the moving style saran wrap because we get broken into so often. He already
Best
had that
way
in
to
his
fix
vehicle.
it until you go in.
And then when we went to New Orleans, we were parked in the valet. And then it was cheaper to be in the self-parking, which was just like the floor above where the valet parks in the same garage. So Lucas took it out of valet and then parked. He left the fob inside, which is actually a good thing because they just opened the door.
Yeah.
And they took my road snacks. And I had expensive Quest protein cookies. I'm actually saltiest about that was they took our snacks and they took our Apple CarPlay.
There's a big bag of snacks in there.
I'm pretty sure they took like my $10 sweatshirt from Costco too that I've had for a while. And I was like, I mean, I still have to do laundry, so maybe it'll turn up. But the last time I remember it's not going to. She's gone. So I hope whoever took it is enjoying my lightweight sweatshirt from Costco.
I hope they're nice and warm.
They did leave my wrestling shoes and they left my waterproof boots that I wasn't even thinking that I was.
Didn't you list those boots on?
I
Parcel?
haven't, but I was thinking.
Let me tell you something. If someone doesn't want to steal them,
they're not going to sell on Poshmark.
Yeah.
I actually think that would be funny. Now I want to list them because sometimes you list stuff and it doesn't sell at all anyway, and you just keep your stuff. But I need to like list stuff that I'm thinking of selling because if someone buys it, I'm like, okay, it's just time to go. So I brought those because there was the hurricane. We didn't really hit much weather. We hit a little bit of rain on the way out. That was really fun. I feel like I described Bourbon Street as it feels like the hell from like every cartoon. Mm-hmm. That like the like little cartoon, whatever the animal is, like dies and then like goes to hell, and it looked like Bourbon Street with the neon lights and the gambling and the naked women on the patio. Like I looked up, there was a balcony and there was like naked women up there.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it was
in Brandon's words, straight debauchery.
Straight debauchery.
As they're walking through.
And I will say my favorite thing about New Orleans, and this is a lot of places, Vegas too, is that you can take your drinks to go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I feel like that's so much better than pounding alcohol out before you go out the door.
Yeah, because then you end up just not like and then everyone's like, yeah, you can bring your drinks in here. You guys can come in because then you don't.
It's also better for turnover.
Yeah. Yes. Because they're going to cash out, pay out the tab, and let them go. And then someone's going to have. And by the time they get to the next place, their drink is going to be either done or it's going to be like too watered down, and they're like, "I want a fresh one," and they're just going to order another drink. Or you can just walk.
I think walking and like drinking slowly versus like pounding and then going to the next place ordering another drink.
Let's face it, there were plenty of drunk people there.
There were. I will say
like we were missing out on the amount of drunk Americans that were running rampant in the streets of New Orleans.
The place that I've seen the messiest drunk people in the middle of the day.
Can I guess?
Yes.
It would be. Nashville.
Absolutely, yes. We saw like women like falling in the street at like 2:00 in the afternoon on a Tuesday. We were like, "What is happening?"
Yeah, there was that one guy who fell over
crossing the street.
Yeah, he just like bloop, and he fell, and he's like, "Oh!" He got up.
It was really weird too because it was like the way that people are when they like look both ways, and then a car is coming, and they kind of like jog quickly to the other side of the street. He did that face planted, but there was no car.
He just looked and he jogged, and then
boom.
Yeah, like a plank on the ground. And then you're like, what are you doing? And he just like stood up. He's like, whoa. And then he kept going off onto his next adventure, I guess.
Yeah, although we had so many incidents when we were in New Orleans.
Every single day we were at the edge of a fight.
Yeah.
Like
I was telling Lucas that the longer I go on in life, I'm like, one of these days we're going to have to use jujitsu.
I feel like we're going to have to eventually.
Yeah. Although when I went and visited my family in Tennessee, I was like, okay, maybe there are places in America that like you don't need jujitsu. I like didn't feel like I was going to get in any incidents outside the perimeter.
No, but I will say this. like if you did get into a fight in that city, you would be like the fucking UFC champion in that city.
Yeah, no one would stand a chance.
They'd be like, "Yo, have you fought Lucas Lamb yet? He's gonna beat your ass."
Yeah.
And I'm just a blue belt.
And walking around with that mouth guard in your purse.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, talk to me again.
Okay, say it again. Let's go. Let's do this.
I'll lose his teeth over this.
What did he put in his mouth?
Who was that comedian that had that joke?
I don't know if it was a comedian. I just know that there are some comedians who have friends who do that, who walk around. They're like, yeah, I got a friend who walks around. Like I don't know where I heard it from. It may have been Rogan's show, where he was just like listening to. He was like, yeah, I have a friend. He just walks around with a mouth guard in his pocket.
I thought it was a stand-up set for someone.
I don't remember.
I don't know. It's just like, so many things are like trended and comedies copied over and over and over again that like you never actually know where anything comes from anymore. True. That's the weirdest thing about the digital age. Lucas and I are gearing up for a wonderful trip to Brazil.
Yes, we are. Another social event.
Yeah, and I'm very excited. Lucas doesn't eat because, people will talk about the food in different places. Until you go to Brazil, you don't understand how much food there is. Like, it's just so... They have so much steak and so much acai and so much coconut water. And I like drink.
And it's affordable is the word we say.
Yeah. I mean, it's sad for their economy, but...
It's very sad for their economy.
Incredible for us visiting.
Well, it'll be good for them when we go and just over-purchase stuff that we don't
Now I know
buy
how the Saudi Arabian royal family feels when they visit New York City. And they're like, I have so much money and they don't. It's so expensive for them. But for us. There's like a really cool buffet that I went to last time. And I want to go to it again.
We're going to do it every night.
This one's a really expensive bougie one. I don't care. I feel like I want to save up enough money so we can go every night. Once you see it, you're going to completely understand why I'm saying this too. I'm not even overhyping it.
Wasn't it like $70 a person?
Yeah, it was like KBBQ money. But if you did that for like 7 nights in a row.
KBBQ money is $40 a person. Isn't it?
Yeah, but after you get alcohol and stuff.
Oh. Well, does the alcohol come with the...
No, the only reason I didn't buy alcohol there was because I was drunk when I walked in the door. So I was like, I don't need any more alcohol. They were like, do you want to get anything? I was like, but I was like the only person in that restaurant that didn't have a shirt on because it's right on the beach. So I walked in and everyone's like dressed. It's like Buckhead. You're making it sound like I'm so slutty.
Why were you shirtless?
Because I came off of the beach.
I'm joking. It's a joke.
I'm sorry. And then I was like walking like with my head held high to the bathroom. I was like, it's okay, Rachel. You're wildly underdressed. But they didn't kick you out, so.
That's because you're pretty.
No.
You don't mind having pretty girls come inside.
No.
Wildly underdressed.
I think a lot of places will like break dress code if they're like, they'll pay their customers regardless.
Yeah, I think so too.
It was also completely packed and they shoved us on the patio. So they're like, naked girl can be outside.
That's true. There's probably also a very large group that was there beforehand, right?
Oh, maybe earlier in the night.
They probably didn't care. They're like,
we were a big
There's
group.
like 15 people here, so let's not kick them out. There's too many people to kick out over one person who won't dress appropriately for the event.
I'm looking forward to this.
Don't worry, guys. I will make sure that
so
she is
good.
appropriately dressed for dinner before we go there.
And I drink those good drinks. There's so much like random live dancing at these little beach bars that are like every couple blocks. You're walking along the beach.
Speaking of which, we need to go to...
salsa something.
Yeah, salsa something.
Yeah, we need to do salsa something. I also just like need to get my wrist healed because it's the most obnoxious thing in the whole world.
How do you feel it anywhere else? Like, do your knees feel better? Do your hips feel better?
I haven't done anything is the problem. Like I'm not working.
Oh,
I feel like
true.
I'm more in tune to my body if I'm like doing something
Yeah,
actively.
because like when you can feel the pain from like rolling and like really working out hard.
I actually, because I felt so much better, I was like, maybe I'll go drill. But then I know myself where I'm like, do not go drill, Rachel, until you go and work out and you can feel what your body feels like in a controlled environment. Because I've learned with injuries when you're coming back, you need to do something in a controlled environment before you do it in an environment where anything can happen, which is jiu-jitsu. Even when you're drilling, like I've gotten injured drilling before. It's like even if you're just like, working on passing or something, you can get kicked in the face. Like it just happens. So
I put a thumb in Coach Matt's eye, or no, a toe. I put a toe, my big toe, in Coach Matt's eye.
And this is why he watches class like this now.
Yeah, he's always like this.
Lucas blinded him.
I poked his eye out.
Yeah.
He's a blind fighter. I felt really bad. I will say this though, when it happened, he like inverted and I posted on the mat because he was like going underneath my legs.
So his eye ran into your toe. You didn't poke him in the eye.
Kind of.
Yeah.
But I was on top and he was going underneath. And then I had, and fortunately for him, I had literally just given myself a salt foot bath for like an hour.
So
like,
he had very clean toesies.
and I had cleaned I pretty much gave myself what is it called when you do it?
A pedicure.
A pedicure. I like cleaned out the edges and everything. But man, I felt the wet of his eye on my toe, and I felt so bad. And he was like, and I was like, oh shit! It's like, oh my God, I poked his eye out.
And he's never been the same.
Yeah, poor guy.
Yeah, I was just describing to my family how gross jiu-jitsu was. And
It's
it wasn't
gross.
until I showed them a video of Brady doing it that Nation Athletic did at an open mat. And
Oh,
it was
yeah.
Brady and like I think Simon or somebody, and they just were soaking wet
Yep.
and so gross looking.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
like I was like, that's why we get. And they're like, ugh.
Yeah, you're like, it's just a
They're like
lot
their
of-
hair. I was like, sweat.
It's
Yeah.
all sweat. It's gross.
I'm really excited to train in Brazil. I learned so much last year. And I'm just hoping that my wrist is healed. I'm trying to be really good. I think this is always the big question in jiu-jitsu is like, what's coming back too early? You start to ask like, oh, if I just sat out for 2 weeks when it first happened, would it be 100% for the last 6 weeks instead of sitting out for 6 weeks?
You're
and-
35. No,
Yeah.
it would have been just as bad.
Yeah, I'll tell myself that. I really did feel it go a second time like 3 weeks later when I did a double leg. And then every time I tried to do like a foot lock after that and I was like in a guillotine grip, then I kept feeling it more. And that's the problem is like I can't even drill. When I broke my finger and did other things, I would like drill back escapes or I would drill. When I broke my toe, I would like drill certain things. No, when I broke my toe, I did back escapes. When I broke my finger, I would do passing drills. Something about my wrist being injured instead of just a finger, it's been so much more difficult to do anything. Because I'm like, oh, even if I was just drilling like a seatbelt control, I'm putting pressure and strain on my wrist.
Yeah.
And I can't even do cardio stuff because, you know, we do like the ski pulls or we do like the rowers or
I
I'm
love
like
ski poles, man.
throwing a medicine ball against the wall and like things like that.
I don't like doing that though.
It's so good for you remember when like DK tore his oblique or tore whatever that like muscle
Yeah, I
is
know,
that
but
connects to his
like because I
ribcage?
have like the little compressed discs in my back, and it hurts to do
I
that.
think you
kind
need
of
to like
motion, so-
engage your core when you do everything.
I need to strengthen the muscles around them discs, man. I need to do more of
Something.
that more than I need to engage my core. My core is weak because my back is weak. I bet you a bunch of people are gonna be like, "That's not how that works."
I think everybody just looked at my eye roll as like, maybe you need to strengthen your core because they always tell you when your back hurts that you should probably be working on your core.
Maybe okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Then you'll like, have like one of those like hippie chiropractors who are like, that's not it at all. So I don't know.
Don't do cardio to lose weight.
So yeah, I'm hoping that we both are in 100% by the time we go.
Yeah, I
because
really do.
when you're planning on training for 15 hours, it's just very depressing if you can't do everything that you want to do.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be tired, but I'm gonna do it.
But also you have to keep in mind, like, we're walking too, like everywhere. So it's like you want everything to be healthy because even if you just have like a knee that's bugging or an ankle that's bugging and then
Man, it's gonna suck, dude.
it sucks. Yeah.
We've
You
gone
want to do
places.
things.
Yeah, we've gone places with people with injuries that haven't been able like to get to where they wanted to be.
A
It
sore
just
hip.
sucks.
Like, yeah. It's
yeah.
just like mobility is just everything. So I'm trying to be really good about this stupid wrist. Normally I sit and go and watch classes. I'm not doing that this time, and I'm kind of worried at this point that it's so healed that if I go, I'll be like, I could kind of do this. And then like that one little tweak happens that like undoes 3 weeks of healing.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be really, really good. I guess that's like our time. I'm really excited for next week because we're doing our first on location podcast, which is something that we're doing now. If you're interested in that and you're in the community, reach out because now we're coming to you. So that way we can get more interviews and things like that. Follow us, like and subscribe if you haven't. Share with a friend. Ask them to play this for their cat and their dog while they're at work so they can get my views. And maybe themselves when they're in the car. I don't know. If you would like to support us, that is how you can, is just by helping out with that. Thanks.